Hello, good evening. I'm Kushlani Alice, an undergraduate of Sabaragam University of Sri Lanka, and welcome back to the third session of the annual webinar series powered by SED Sabra, collaborated with SED Sri Lanka. As you already know, this webinar series is annually conducted targeting the dynamic individuals like you who are planning to represent Sri Lanka at the international platform NASA Space Up Challenge 2021. If you're such an enthusiast, stay connected. The session is going to be very informative under the topic Applications of GIS. We have an expert figure in the field to share his valuable knowledge and experiences with you. So before hand over in the session, I want to request you that if you have any doubts or need clarifications regarding the session during the session, please keep them with you for a while, and after the session we have a Q&A session, and you can clarify them as you wish. So no need to waste the time. Let's move forward. I hand over the session to today's guest speaker, senior lecturer at the Department of Remote Sensing and GIS, Faculty of Geomatics, Sabaragam University of Sri Lanka, Dr. Saman Koswat. Over to you, sir.
Thanks a lot, Kushlani, and thanks for having me in this session. I welcome you all to this the session, which is in applications of GIS. Today, my outline will be something like this. Basically, I'm going to give you an introduction, and we'll talk about what is the world today and what's happening there. And later, I'm going to discuss basically about GIS, who can be benefited through this interesting field, and maybe applications. That is what our target today, and maybe some trends, what will happen next in this interesting field. And I'm going to focus on the GIS for planetary science, which especially you all are interested about. And also I'm planning to show you a little demo. Let's see how the time goes on, and if everything goes smoothly, I can show this demo to you. And if you look at the GIS, I'm not going to discuss all the basics here, because I assume that you are aware of what is GIS and what's exactly going on, what are the platforms and all. But for setting the scene properly, I will introduce few things here. So you all know that we have so many applications, maps, maybe data, maybe software, and maybe analysis tools altogether with users. They all are connected to establish a GIS. So you all have to remember that the GIS is the backbone, or maybe the connector, or maybe the glue holding all these tight. Without that GIS, many of the application, interesting things we see in today's technological stuff, those things will not exist without this marvelous platform. So you have to remember that the GIS is the core of many interesting applications, spatial applications we all see today. And the other thing is, when it comes to GIS, you all have to remember that the S represents many things. Maybe systems, that is the thing we are discussing here. But there are things behind something like science, maybe studies, and interestingly, the services. We all see a lot of services these days. Many things we access through internet. So that is, these services are very popular. Through the science and studies, we discuss all the theories behind these geographic information systems. And if you look back and find how this GIS is born, you will find that there is a special thing happen, something like what we experience today. There was an epidemic in Soho, which is in London, back in 1854, nearly close to 200 years. So similar thing happened, it goes viral. So nobody couldn't identify where the exact cause. So they did something similar to GIS, but all these things were manual. They had all the analysis techniques and they did quite interesting study. And we all know that the cause for this cholera epidemic today, we all understand, we all have information, but those days they didn't know what is going on there, how it is spreading, what is the cause. So finally, they identified a special place through a simple buffer type of analysis, which is more popular these days. And they could identify a particular well, which is contaminated. Likewise, if we do a certain analysis, we may find the exact cause for the COVID pandemic we all are experiencing today. But unfortunately, we don't know where it was initiated. Maybe in future, through similar technologies like GIS, people will realize what has happened, what was the cause for this incidents. Then if we look what GIS can do, we all know we can easily answer spatial questions. Something like if we interested about what would happen if a chemical leak into a river, that thing can be easily analyzed and identify what will happen next, where it goes, what is the chemical strength, and all these things. If somebody wants to know where is the safest place to live, that is very easy with site selection sort of things we have in GIS. And if somebody wants to know how it has changed the population, change over the last 10 years, we have all the demographic sort of analysis and statistical analysis built in all the modern GIS tools. Easily we can identify. If somebody wants to identify something like the very popular and very unfortunate cause happening in North Central province and related areas, the kidney disease, CKD-U we call. The chronic kidney disease unknown, right? Still we don't know the cause. If somebody wants to analyze, is there a spatial pattern? So we have a lot of tools for similar purposes, right? Like so in that way, GIS is a very useful tool, interesting tool. And there are certain benefits, like we have better information management, high quality and very complex sort of analysis. It is able to carry out what if scenarios. What will happen if we change this thing, something like that. We can easily analyze. So finally, we are able to decide better things, or decision making is very effective and efficient through the GIS technology. And if you look at the types of GIS, what we have today, we have the most powerful desktop type GIS. There are a lot of popular softwares, something like Esri's ArcGIS platform. Or if you want to look for open source solutions, open source alternatives, you have the QGIS platform, which is Quantum GIS. And we have other MapInfo, UDIG, maybe GBSig, like many tools. And interestingly, the web mapping, web GIS, cyber GIS type tools are very popular these days. People are using these things in massive form. If you look on the media today, there you will see very interesting maps, something like sometimes maybe relevant to COVID also. All these are coming through web mapping platforms these days. It's a very easy platform for disseminating information. You have tools like ArcGIS Online or ArcGIS Enterprise if you have a very big company, or if you want to secure your information, you have the enterprise choice. And MapServer, GeoServer, Degree are other alternatives. Those are open source tools. And if you look at the mobile possibilities, you have few choices, but remember that they are not very developed. still they are quite young, but maybe in near future we will be able to handle all these GIS capabilities in the field itself, but still we don't have fully fledged systems. If you want to find something, you can do with maybe ArcGIS Collector, or now recently they are going to replace that thing with the ArcGIS field maps, and alternatively you have the QField in QGIS system. If you want some other tools, you have Mapit GIS, like that. There are many tools coming into this field. And if you look at what is happening around us, there are so many incidents happening, like or not, these things are there in the world. Sometimes we experience floods. At the same time, maybe in the other end of the country, if we take Sri Lanka, both things happening together. Sometimes we experience landslides. Sometimes garbages are collecting like mountains. Sometimes tsunamis. These are very recent incidents happening. One is already happening, the other one is also not finished, and things are getting worse sometimes. I'm very sorry if I hurt somebody, because there can be so difficult memories. Because still, we all are suffering with the COVID-like incidents. Unfortunately, we all have to think about what will happen next. If you want to manage these things in a proper way, we can't avoid these things. We don't know how the nature will behave. So, like or not, we have to be ready for this similar sort of things. Floods will never ending, the droughts will never ending, there will be landslides, many more in the future. We don't know when the next tsunami will come in, and maybe similar incidents like these. GIS helps to analyze these things. Sometimes, interestingly, we can predict when a similar incident would happen. That is the advantage. That is the beauty of this tool. So we can do several different types of analysis and predict. We can identify the trend, what is happening. Maybe getting worse or maybe fading away, like that. We can have some idea. If we have some idea beforehand, that is very advantageous. And if you look at who are going to be benefited with these marvelous tools, we see that in the world, a lot of emergency responders, they are getting the benefit of these GIS and related tools. I will show you some videos at the end in the next slide, so you will realize where we can apply these things, how these people are getting the full benefits of these available technologies and tools. If you look at the agriculture, a lot of people benefited through the GIS, the technology. They are applying the GIS and other connected technologies nicely, and they improve their maybe yield or maybe their other income. They manage these things nice. And truly, this technology is useful for GIS editors, map makers, or spatial data engineers, or spatial data scientists. Everybody benefited through this GIS. And scientists these days, they can simulate many things before practically testing these things. Scientists, they can test what will happen if something changes, because we all know most of the things are connected with the geography. There will have some sort of location component. Location value is there. So scientists, they can test in a virtual platform. You all know that the virtual or the augmented reality, these things are very popular. And people can test these things without putting their hand in danger. They can digitally test these things, which is very useful. And for decision makers, this GIS technology is very useful. They can come up with smart decisions, collective decisions. They will be spreaded throughout the world, but they can work online and they can use these GIS tools simultaneously. I mentioned you that the web mapping or cyber GIS type things are becoming very popular. They get the benefit. They don't need to be at the same place, but virtually they can get connected and they can solve their issues. They can come up with smart decisions. And for the adventurers or maybe explorers, they are getting the benefit of GIS. They can simulate, or they can see, or they can practically test their things, maybe in virtual modes before going to the space. They can see what is the situation there. We have a lot of sensors. We have sent so many sensors, different sensors to the space. Through the information we get through these sensors, they can virtually be there in the expected location. They can analyze the situation. They can change different parameters. They can change the maybe environment, maybe temperature, or maybe other the quality of air. So they expect these situations and they know how to overcome the situations. And they, before going to the exact place, they might have already experienced the situation. It is very useful. And if you look at the health sector, medical practitioners, they are getting the benefit of the GIS. Sometimes it may be connected with image analysis, something like we are using in the remote sensing field. So all connectively, they can analyze these things and they can see what is happening inside the body without cutting anywhere. They have a lot of sensors without doing sometimes exactly these operations physically. They can virtually do these things. You might wonder what's the point of using GIS there, but you have to remember that our body is something like a connected network. So many sensors. If we can compare this our physical body into a system like GIS, we can analyze these things. So medical GIS is there. Sometimes there will be epidemics or pandemics like things spreading all over the world. We can analyze the trends, but unfortunately we can't do many things with the COVID what we are experiencing today. But other things, the known things, they are managing very proper, very effective and very efficient. So the planners, they can plan the cities. Now we have a lot of smart type cities. We will discuss this thing in little more detail in a later slide. But remember that the planners, they get a lot of benefits. They can virtually construct their plans. They can establish their plans and see what is the impact of having kind of a model in a certain place. And they can change the environmental parameters. Say something like the sunlight. They can see if they are going to establish a new building. Imagine that it is going to be a very high-rise building. So the impact for other surrounding buildings. What is the scenario? Like that, they can better understand and they can better plan their things, which is very useful. The explorers like geologists, they can get the use of GIS. They can see underground things. So we know through the GIS in kind of layers or maybe in 3D models, we can develop all these real world things. So without going to a particular place, if somebody wants to study that place, what is the underground things available? So what is the nature of that? How deep they are available? Like that, there are so many benefits. If we take engineers, I can say they are the another most important profession who gets the benefits of GIS. They can plan their work. Likewise, the planners, they also can construct their things virtual and see what is the benefit. So the structural stability kind of things. So what will happen if an earthquake happens with the magnitude? By changing these things virtually, they can see how the impact is, which is very useful. So we all can be prepared. When a disaster comes, we know what is the safety of these particular structures thanks to this GIS technology. Nowadays, the gamers, this GIS platforms are very widely used in gaming industry. Sometimes for trainers who are doing very serious things, critical things. Before applying these things in practice, they can train their users. Say if somebody wants to train a pilot, they can have a model. So like they are physically flying in the ground, they expect. So using the VR, virtual reality type models, augmented reality type models, they can easily train these users, their customers maybe, which is very advantageous. And finally, not the last one, there are so many examples, so many professions who gets the benefits of GIS. Some people introduce this GIS as a tool, and it is comparing to the Swiss Army knife. So if we look at this, the users of this Swiss Army knife, they virtually can cut anything. That is the purpose of these things, for surviving in difficult places, maybe a thick jungle. They might need to survive. Maybe they will have only the tool, this the army knife, Swiss Army knife, that can do many things. Same way the GIS can apply for any field because it is a tool. Like the Swiss Army knife can cut anything, the GIS can handle anything, which is very interesting. Through all these fields or the professions, finally the benefit comes back to the citizens. They will be alerted. If it is going to be a natural disaster, they will be alerted. So unknowingly, if it is going to be a man-made disaster, there will be evacuation methods. They know where to go. So if you are in an unknown location, say you are a traveler, you are in an unknown location. Thanks to these GIS platforms, it will guide you to the safest place. Finally, we have to think that the GIS is very useful technology for many fields. It is seamless. There can be many other fields. This GIS technology is going to be useful. So I'll show you a little video and you will get some experience, some knowledge through this video. Let me play it. Sit back, relax, and enjoy this. Okay.
Does your emergency operations center rely on paper maps to coordinate disaster response? Oftentimes, information on paper maps is already outdated by the time your team meets to brief. Now more than ever, your team needs up-to-date information that allows you to make data-driven decisions and provide accurate reports to the public. This digital solution for emergency management can help solve those issues and more. As a disaster approaches, GIS allows you to understand the impact and scope of potential damage and anticipate how many resources will be needed. This real-time information can help you monitor rapidly changing conditions. A comprehensive web-based dashboard provides actionable information designed to scale when the demand for information goes viral. This tool allows citizens to effectively assess personal risks, avoid hazards, and evacuate if and when the time comes. After a large-scale disaster, your focus will shift to damage assessment. Digital data collection tool allows your team to capture important information from a mobile device. They can complete forms, take photos, and designate a precise location to the damage. When connected, the application will provide real-time information to the office. And when there's no connectivity, you can still collect information and synchronize later. Because this process is more efficient, you can quickly ascertain overall damage costs and mobilize recovery resources.
So this is going to be a augmented reality type example. These are kids. The kids are using the VR headsets and they experience a tsunami type incident. You can see all debris floating here and there. This is underwater. They can experience what is the situation under the water even. These models virtually show maybe similar to in a real situation. You can see the water is rising. Maybe first floor is submerged already. This is an example showing how we can develop a kind of environment. So this is ArcGIS, the ArcScene tool. With the elevation map and a DEM, we can construct a similar model. This created a plane for the flood. Through animations, we can easily simulate the flood. Maybe we can parametrically connect this thing with the rainfall. Through the changes of the rainfall, water level, we can see how the area is submerged. Which area will be impacted when the water level goes up and down. So interesting tool. Similar work is applied in the previous video. You will see.
Precision agriculture is a method in which farmers optimize inputs such as water and fertilizer to enhance productivity, quality, and yield. The term also involves minimizing pests and diseases through spatially targeted application of precise amount of pesticides. Precision farming is a farming management concept based on observing and responding to intra-field variations. It relies on new technologies like satellite imagery, GPS, information technology, and other geospatial tools. Let's try and understand this better. Suppose you have 20 hectares and you are getting 100 tons per hectare of yield. A remote sensing image of your field shows the difference between the yield in various parts of the same ground. Areas marked in red show the yield of 20 ton per hectare, while areas marked in blue show yield of 120 ton per hectare, a difference of 100 tons. Or in other words, not optimizing yield from these 100 tons is leading to loss in productivity. Observing variability in crop is the first step of precision agriculture process. Evaluating all this information together can give you a better understanding of the causes of variability in your farm. Depending on evaluation, you can manage your crop better. Sensors in field measure the moisture content and temperature of the soil and surrounding air. Satellites and robotic drones provide farmers with real-time images of individual plants. Information from those images can be processed and integrated with sensors and other data to yield guidance for immediate and future decisions, such as precisely what fields to water and when or where to plant a particular crop. For example, it can give you an idea if you need to apply a particular mineral or fertilizer in one area of your land rather than using it in the entire farm, thus saving your money, resource and time. GNSS, remote sensing and drones play an important role in precise location of problems, optimizing resources and maximizing yield. Today, mobile apps, smart sensors, drones and cloud computing make precision agriculture possible for farming cooperatives and even small family farms.
Alright, all these are very interesting. You saw how the few different fields getting the benefits, how they are practically applying these GIS tools for their purposes. And if you look at what are the applications, you may find many applications. I found a document explaining about 1,000 GIS applications. This number will be truly getting increased. I will show you quickly this document, and I will share this document to you. If you want the link, put it in the chat box. You can access this later. You can see we discuss the applications for this agriculture field, the precision farming, maybe disease control, the real-time crop yields, so many applications. And for the astronomy, you are interested, there are so many examples. The Mars, people are looking at the life on Mars. So there are so many explorations going on. People expect the water on Mars, but still no clue. For the archaeology, we have easily apply the GIS tools. For architecture and GIS applications, they are closely bound together. They can digitally construct their designs and apply so many tests, maybe urban noise or maybe light changes, maybe weather changes, so many examples. We can talk maybe few days if we are going to talk one by one here, but remember that the GIS can be applied for any field. For the automobile field, the industry, they are getting a lot of benefits through this thing. Interesting application is geofencing. So virtually they can construct barriers. If somebody is crossing these barriers or the limits, can be alerted to the certain parties to protect particular areas. And you know that these days a lot of testing are going on self-driven vehicles. They can virtually test all these driving, what is happening, their safety and the passengers experience. As I told you, the GIS is the backbone, the connecting thing, or the glue bonding all these together. You can easily apply the GIS techniques and tools for all these smart concepts. For the banking, it is very popular. For the safety purposes, if something is happening or if some the intruders are there, for tracking them, physically identify these intruders. It can be sometimes through virtual platforms or maybe the web platform. Sometimes we can use GIS tools to track them down very easily and in a smart form. This way it is limitless applications we can find. crime analysis. That is also another interesting GIS application area for the security people. If they identify a crime, sometimes in most cases there is a particular pattern. If they properly identify this pattern, they can predict what will happen next, where the next incident might happen. So it is easy for them to catch the bad guys. For the defense and the military purposes, again the VR or AR type augmented reality, virtual reality stuff is playing a lot there. Without putting their army in danger, they can make the area safe and identify what is going on there. We all know that there are a lot of sensors we have today. It may be from the satellites sometimes, or it may be from the closer ground ranges like through drones. Altogether, connectively we can analyze the safety or maybe the closest path, the safest path. You all know that we have viewshed analysis type tools. They are very commonly applied for the military type applications, safety type applications. For the disaster, we got to know that there are limitless applications. Maybe for disaster preparedness, or maybe for disaster recovery, or maybe for damage assessment, and maybe for training purposes. A lot of applications. So I invite you to go through this each and every possibilities and check the beauty of this GIS technology. Okay, I'll come back to the slideshow. Then if you look at what are the trends, so far you have some experience, what are the applications areas, and if you look at what will happen in the future. We are living in a information flooded world. Through the social media and through other sensors, we have so many data collected. In a 1 second, if we consider in the world, there may be trillions of gigabytes of data collected. So you might have heard about the crowdsourcing. Definitely you should. But these crowdsourcing platforms, we can easily apply for geospatial purposes. Through these social media and other crowdsourcing platforms, it collected many data. We identify these things as big data. And we have so many drones. Individual citizens, sometimes they own drones. Kids also sometimes playing with drones. We can connect different sensors to these devices, something like LiDAR. And if you look at today's technology, even mobile phones, they are equipped with LiDAR type sensors. I will show some examples in the next slides. And another interesting technology is BIM, Building Information Models. They comes especially in the architecture type fields and maybe engineering. But now they have a good connection with GIS, and the users are enormous. The application possibilities and the benefits are very wide. And there is another interesting field growing now, which is called digital twins. I will show you some examples in the next slides. Another interesting field developing these days is GeoAI, Geospatial Artificial Intelligence. It's also having a good future. In the future, the people will be getting lots and lots of benefits through this marvelous tool, Geospatial or Geospatial Artificial Intelligence, GeoAI field. And people are talking about smart cities. They always want to make the cities more and more smarter. And at the end, all our life will be very sophisticated. Sometimes people may not like for very complex and sophisticated life. If someone is enjoying cool climbs, but for many of us, the smarter is the better. If you look, what are these geospatial crowdsourcing and big data? People believe that collective thinking or the collective ideas are more wiser. Sometimes people argue that it is not always the case, but many people believe that if it comes through many minds, the idea is more wise. And in the business field, if somebody is having money, it is a rich person. They should now this with these crowdsourcing technologies, they want to get the idea of general public. They can spend the money and they can be the most wisest people, or very tactfully they will get their jobs done through the maybe the crowd. But that is interesting. The both parties benefited. It is a win-win situation. Through these crowdsourcing platforms, people tends to vote, or maybe they collectively innovate things, maybe designing very smart things, and maybe these big tasks they will split into very micro level tasks, and easily they can be get done, which will be very difficult or sometimes maybe impossible for a little group to do. But in these days, the freelancing is very popular field. Individually, they use their professional experience for crowdsourcing type platforms. The work is divided among many people these days. Interesting platforms. The crowd creativity, which is very useful and popular area. The crowdfunding is another interesting thing happening in the world. We have seen lot of interesting incidents. Sometimes people are in very difficult situations. If they are not possible to bear the cost, sometimes maybe we have seen people stuck in hospitals, unable to pay in their hospital bills, but through crowdfunding, very generously they support this type of people, which is a good thing anyway at the end. If we look at the geospatial crowdsourcing, we know that through the social media platforms, it generated massive amounts of data. But when we are looking at the spatial angle, if somebody is interested about identifying spatial data through these big data sets, in the big data sets, the volume are high, the velocity is very high, variety is very high, veracity is high, and the value is high. But when it comes to a certain special applications like the geospatial or GIS purposes, we have to be very careful. Straight away, we can't use these things because the quality is believed to be very low in these social media type data. We have to do a lot of filtering. We have to do a lot of qualification or improving the quality. And finally, they will become VGI, which is called Volunteered Geographic Information, which is very useful at the end. There are a lot of arguments that this data are having a lot of drawbacks, like the believability or the trust is low, and there can be very fake type data, purposely generated unuseful data like that. There are a lot of rumors, but there are occasions that people successfully use this VGI, which is generated through the crowdsourcing platforms. In a certain time in the history, we have lacking data. We didn't have sufficient data, but now the systems have changed. What has happened now? We are in a data flooded situation. We have many data. Finding useful data is the current challenge. And if you look at drones and LiDAR and miniaturized sensors, you may know that the Apple's flagship phone, which is Apple 12, it got a LiDAR sensor. So if you have a LiDAR sensor in your hand, what is the use? You might wonder what purposes we can use it. Easily you can convert any object into a 3D object, virtual 3D object. The applications are not very successful, but I like and I must thank for this Apple for introducing this interesting technology. This is the first time it is mounted in a phone, a handheld device. So the future will be that all the devices, maybe if this is a successful case, I can see it is having some success there. It is easy to construct a digital 3D models. They are not very perfect, but in future they will be definitely improved. And for these drones, we can attach many sensors. One is a LiDAR. There are other multispectral type sensors, and people getting a lot of benefits. Putting all these things back in a system like GIS, connectedly, if we use this information, the users are limitless. And the BIM, which is called Building Information Models. These days, building information models are digital models, which can include almost all the information related to a building, all the nuts and bolts. What is the use? So you can analyze, or you can digitally test whatever things. Maybe the cost, say you want to pave tiles in a room. You can digitally calculate what will be the cost for the finest details. If somebody wants to count the number of taps inside this building, maybe within a second they can count. Like that, the users are enormous. As the time is flying, I will quickly go through with these things. And the next breakthrough is the digital twins. So digital twin is a exact copy of the physical object. If we can convert the physical object into a digital form, that is identified as a digital twin. This is not a new concept in the field of GIS. So if we take the digital earth, these concepts are talking many years back. But now people realize the use of this interesting technology, and they are trying to convert all these things into digitally similar objects. So the use is very high, because without touching the physical object, they can do or manipulate digitally the available devices, or maybe they can virtually test situations, which is very interesting. Again, I have a small video to show you. You can see this can be applied in numerous fields. This is the inventor or the original person suggested this digital twin term. NASA, they have applied this thing successfully. This is a very latest and growing field. is identified as the fourth industrial revolution. The next thing is Geo AI, Geospatial Artificial Intelligence. Already we have so many artificial intelligence type tools developed. They are going to apply for geospatial purposes, geo data, and they are going to come up with smarter outcomes, maybe decisions or maybe solutions like that. Maybe if you are interested, we have a lot of natural language processing things available, maybe machine learning or other artificial intelligence tools. They can be easily applied for data exploration and visualization. And there are many platforms developed in this artificial intelligence field, which they can be easily applied back in the geospatial industry. But always we have to remember that the readily available tools for other purposes we can't easily apply for the geospatial data, because especially we are going to apply these artificial intelligence tools something like for the big data, which is hard to understand, which is very complex. You have to remember that. Then you have to rely on special tools like maybe Microsoft Azure, maybe Apache Spark, or maybe Hadoop type tools to work on these big data and special type data, which is hard to deal with general purpose tools. This is another example, the smart cities. In here also, it is expected to connect everything together and develop a smart system. Everything is connected. Say you want to control in a city the whole lighting system. If it is connected, you can easily identify the faults, and maybe if you want to upgrade or if you want to test something, if something goes down, maybe for a certain attack or maybe for a natural cause, what will happen, which area will go down, and what is the way to easily fix it. So there are possibilities, because digitally and in a smart way everything is connected. We know what is happening in all the places. Through this way we can improve the transportation or maybe other experience. And we'll come to the exact point, which is you are interested, the sets sub-brand, other sets related groups. There are so many applications for the planetary science. You saw that it is seamless applications, possibilities are there for the Earth. In a similar way, we can apply the technologies, the tools we develop to handle our own Earth data for these distance objects or the planets. But there should be some interesting situations, because the coordinate systems we have to be manipulated in a different way. They all are dynamic. So relatively, we have to think about coordinate systems, but still already they have developed for certain cases. This is a story map. You will know sometimes in GIS field, story maps are very popular. For a selected case or a selected incident, we can easily develop a story and publish this thing in a web. We call it web or story maps. This is an example map developed for a planetary science purpose. I will share this slide with you, and the link is there. Please have a look. And finally, I have this demo, which is develop a very nice system developed to explore the planet Mars. Okay, as you all are interested, I think this will be very interesting. I will share the link. The link is already there in the slide. You can practically see this thing. This is developed to do certain things for the Mars. Like the Google Earth, you may have used this thing. It's very popular. In a similar way, they have developed a digital globe type thing for the Mars. If you go to this address, you can access it. Okay, this is the digital Mars. All these are real pictures taken by different rovers landed on the Mars. The most recent one is the Perseverance. You might know better than me all about these things. We can see the area the Perseverance rover landed in recently in this year. Without going to the Mars, you can physically see what is the situation there. If you want to measure something, there is a tool for that. Say if you want to measure a certain distance in a particular place, you can do it very easily. It's a very little smaller place, close to 1 kilometer. If you want to turn this thing this way, so this is for that purpose. This tool is for panning purposes. And if you want to change the image type, you can do it very easily. In the same way, you can change the location for a different rovers which was landed in the Mars. There is a nice tool for comparing these sizes. Okay, so if we place the country Sri Lanka on the Mars, what will be the situation? So we all know that the Mars is slightly smaller than the Earth. If we take Sri Lanka, and if you are going to place this thing in a selected location, maybe this crater, where is the place, the Jezero crater, the Perseverance rover landed. You can see, comparatively you can see what is the situation. It is slightly bigger the crater we identified there. Like that, you can jump into different places and do certain different things. Okay, I think that helps you to explore these planets. Go back to the slide set. I invite you all to enjoy this one. Go to the link and test do certain things with the available tools. And I have given you similar links for accessing different websites to get information relevant to the planetary science. Please visit these places, the websites. And thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed, and you can ask if you have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. It was a very informative session. And if participants have any question, you can drop your messages to chat box, or you can ask your questions directly.
So I think somebody is asking for the link. I think for this one, for exploring the Mars planet, I'll drop it. And I will share this slide set, which got all the links there. Somebody is asking about when the subject was introduced. Is it the GIS or the planetary science? Which one? If you tell me which one is that? Yes, GIS. It goes back to, as I show you, the history goes back to 1854. So this is the first example we can find, analyze using the GIS. From this point onward, it used a lot of computer tools. So if you look at how the GIS was becoming popular, we can see the graphical, in computer field, the graphics, it developed in a different way. And the database, the information side, it was developed different. So in a certain time, they both connected. And people identified, especially the geographers, they identified the use of GIS, connecting these two tools for the geospatial purposes. That is how the GIS things came to the world. Any other questions? I think I answered that question. So if you want to know any other things, I will drop my email address here. You can contact me. In the slides also I have added it. All right. So as there are no other questions, I will stop and hand over the sessions back to the organizers. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, today's speaker, Dr. Saman Koswatha, for dedicating your valuable time for us. I believe it was a really informative session for the participants. So I pay my heartiest gratitude for the sake of all the participants. Thank you all the participants who attend to the session, and also we will meet with another interesting session in near future. Until then, stay safe and goodbye.
Thank you very much. Please stay safe.